News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. With all the growth continuing in the county, some have wondered how that's affecting local schools. On KBNU's For the People program earlier this week, Tim Smith, Public Information Officer for the Cache County School District, talked about how many seniors they are expecting to see graduate this year.
Our classes, so if you take just like all of the seniors this year, it usually floats between 14 and 1,600 students per class, all the way down to kindergarten. And so we're graduating. The hope is about 1,540 seniors this year.
On their website, ccsdut.org, there is a note there that if someone has a student or senior especially that's graduating and you'd like to tell their story, you can do so at that site. Smith related some of the amazing stories of some of their students.
We've got a set of quintuplets. They lost one of their 5 of them as a young child, but they've got 4 of them graduating this year from one of our schools. We have a student that got a perfect score on one of their AP tests.
Wow.
And so anyway, just a lot of fun stories. We've got a student that swims for the Costa Rican Paralympics that we interviewed recently. So students are involved in a lot of fun things.
Smith said it's sad for teachers when students graduate and move on with their lives, but they are rewarded when they see them out in the community accomplishing things. He said the trick for most students, though, is trying to place kids in the right year. KBNU News Time is 4:07. KBNU weather for tonight. Snow showers in our forecast. Accumulation up to 2 inches. Low around 30. Snow showers likely in the morning on Friday. A chance of snow showers in the afternoon. About 1 inch accumulation. High in the upper 30s. Slight chance of rain and snow showers in the afternoon on Saturday. Partly sunny skies. High temperature in the lower 40s. Right now, with a little bit of sun trying to peek through, it's 37 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. It's time to get your spring sheets and blankets freshened up. Use Mount Logan Laundry's 55 and 80-pound washers in Logan and Brigham.
My hearing started to go right around the same time my wife started naming off all the upgrades she wanted done on the house. I figured it was selective hearing. To be honest, I was actually pretty upset when it was suggested that I might need hearing aids, but ultimately I knew it was time for a change.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, we can help you regain the confidence that you're hearing life the way it was meant to be heard.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Visit cachehearing.com for details.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. Sharing family stories can be a powerful way to strengthen and unite family members, according to recent research. According to USU Extension, children who know more about their family history tend to be more resilient, have higher self-esteem, better self-control, lower anxiety levels, and fewer behavioral problems. Family events such as holiday gatherings, mealtimes, and vacations are perfect opportunities to share these stories, and writing them down or printing them is more meaningful and preserves them better than digital recordings. Ideas for sharing family stories include playing ancestor bingo, visiting significant places, celebrating deceased family members' birthdays, and creating a family recipe book. The family activities and traditions created now become family stories for future generations. Officials discovered remains more than a day after a house fire in Spanish Fork in what they believe to be the owner of the home. Multiple units responded to the fire at a twin home in Spanish Fork Tuesday morning. Crews were not able to enter the burning house due to the fire. Officials said the first and second stories of the structure collapsed as firefighting efforts went on, and the fire approached the top of the twin home. After digging through burned debris all day, Spanish Fork police and fire discovered what they believe to be the owner of the home's remains at around 3:45 Wednesday afternoon. Medical examiners working to positively identify the victim. And again, the breaking news story that we had starting the last hour that we heard from ABC News, and at the top of the hour, a New York grand jury investigating President Donald Trump's role in a hush money payment made to porn star Stormy Daniels voted to indict the former president on Thursday, according to multiple reports and Trump's lawyer. We'll have more from ABC later this hour. KBNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs, recognizing first responders and other deserving individuals in our community. Friday mornings at 8:30 on News Talk KVNU.
Have you pulled your spring sheets out of storage, and do they smell stale and need freshening up? How about your blankets and your quilts? Are things dingy from winter use? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It takes no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, and it costs a lot less than the dry cleaners, and free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, too. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Parents make all kinds of choices about their child's health. One important way you can protect your child's health is with vaccines. Viruses and bacteria are unpredictable, and even healthy children can develop severe complications.
I'm all done.
By vaccinating, you can feel good that you're doing everything you can to protect your child from harmful diseases. If you have questions about your child's vaccines, talk with your pediatrician and visit healthychildren.org.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Thursday, March 30th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter, our producer here in the studio as well. A lot to talk about, to say the least. You may have heard the news updates that have come through just this afternoon. Former President Trump indicted. We had a big event here in Cache Valley geared towards suicide prevention and those who maybe have influence, teachers, clergy, media members, and more. Some highlights of some of the things picked up at that today coming up later on as well. And then also a very, very not pleasant to read survey, the World Values Survey, is out. And one of the things that it shows is that Americans are kind of losing their love of democracy. Analysts attribute this to our lives getting a little too cushy, and us getting more and more removed, as adults at least, from world events that remind us democracy is kind of important. We'll talk about that and what the potential solutions to this might be in hour two. Right now, it is time for our weekly theater hour with our good friend Charlie Schill here in the studio. Last week, we started and got about a third of the way through, almost, Charlie's big list. Charlie does this every year. It's a list of everything happening April to the holiday season in theaters here in northern Utah. And it is big. It is a lengthy list, and it just shows you how lucky we are.
And we probably won't get back to it at all today.
There's too much. Too much. This was like a week of announcements. What happened? Why did they coordinate this? The first that I saw was the Pickleville announcement, of course.
Sure.
That was the big one I saw. But then Wendy had some surprises, and you saw some things. I know you were busy in the theater seats over the weekend and this week, and so yeah, maybe we'll put the list off until next week.
Actually, I had the weekend off.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go this weekend.
Which is just as well because everybody in my house is sick.
It's going around.
No, there's this 2-year-old who is a nest of contagion.
Like rats, I tell you. I used to offend all my relatives when I'd make that joke. I'd say they're just like rats. Yeah, a 2-year-old.
We love Calvin a bunch, but
2-year-old.
boy, he gets everything that comes down the pike, and he gives it to everybody.
Yeah. And 2-year-olds and colds, that is a match made in heaven.
You got that right.
Not big hand washers, those 2-year-olds. Even if they should. Yeah, so you got some time to recover from the cold before you get your butt back in the theater seats. That's good.
Last night was the kickoff night of the 100th anniversary of the Eccles Theater, and it was a really nice event. Yeah, Wendy hosted Wendy Hassan, the executive director of the Cash Arts, had a reception before the event up in the Bullen Center. And it was, everybody dressed up to the nines, and it was kind of fun. It really was.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
For her to do that.
It was a good kickoff. And then we went down to the theater, and they had all of the performers from the groups.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was surprised, frankly, that the American Festival Chorus played a huge role in this thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't heavily advertised.
And that was wall to wall. I mean, you put that chorus on the stage, and they're from one wing to the other.
Hundreds.
Yes.
Hundreds of members. If that was advertised, I missed that. I didn't know they were involved.
They mentioned that they were going to perform.
Interesting.
Craig Jessup was one of the conductors. So, to be expected. But I didn't realize how big a role they were going to play.
That's interesting.
They started off with love themes from Hollywood movies.
Oh, wow.
Love is a Many Splendid Thing, Dr. Zhivago, Around the World in 80 Days. And then they sang the theme from Gone with the Wind. I didn't even know there were words to the theme from Gone with the Wind.
I didn't either. I knew there was a theme. I'd heard it before the music, but I didn't know there were words. How funny.
Later on, they performed with Michael Ballam. He was doing The Impossible Dream from Man of La Mancha, which is his trademark now. And they also sang backup for him.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was nice. And they actually ended the show with Ode to Joy.
Oh.
So
if you've never had a chance out there listening to see that live, it's impossible to not be moved by that piece.
Yeah.
See it live. It's just so, you can't ignore it.
Before that, they brought out the Cash Children's Choir and had them sing.
That's cute.
And also had the festival chorus backing them up.
That is very cool.
Oh, it was really enjoyable. It really
I'm
was.
sad I missed this. What a way to celebrate the 100-year anniversary. And as Charlie mentioned, too, that's just night one. This is a 3-day thing wrapping up Saturday with a concert, Mark Cohn and Sean Colvin. But
Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. And this is, so now tonight.
Tonight is the movie night.
And the movie is Back to the Future.
And what do you call it? The Rabbit of Seville.
Yeah, a cartoon, a newsreel.
And I don't know where they're going to get the newsreel. That should be really
That's
interesting.
what I'm curious to see. I'm excited to see which newsreel they go with. Because I'm sure the archives out there are plentiful, what they can choose from. But I'm curious to see what they pick to go with Back to the Future, the feature film. By the way, for listeners out there, if you want tickets to this, there are some. In fact, it looks like a strange thing has happened. It looks like maybe some reserve seating or some seating that had been reserved in that second and third row has been opened up in the final days. Because when I looked yesterday, these seats weren't available. Now today, the second and third row have a lot of seats on that main level. Other than that, you're not sitting on the main level. You're up in the upper level or the balcony, which aren't bad seats for a movie. So don't worry about that. But yeah, this is one of the most sold out things I've seen.
Well, this was a free performance.
Yeah. You literally just have to request the ticket.
Yeah.
So do so. That's tonight at 7:30, by the way, when that all starts with the newsreel, the cartoon, Bugs Bunny and the Rabbit of Seville, Wabbit of Seville, and then the feature film, Back to the Future. Movie night at the Eccles Theater, celebrating their 100-year anniversary this week. And we're celebrating, too. It's our theater hour, a chance to step away from all the heavy stuff out there in the news and talk about arts and entertainment. If you'd like to join us, 753-5868. More of For the People and our friend Charlie Schill here in the studio for the theater hour right after this.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join the V Foundation team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It's our theater hour with Charlie Schill here in the studio. You can read Charlie's work, news stories, theater reviews, and more. CacheValleyDaily.com. Once a week, he sits down here in the studio with us to talk theater in Cache Valley. Charlie just gave us kind of a recap of the opening night of the 3-night 100-year anniversary celebration at the Eccles Theater. And that continues tonight with feature film Back to the Future, preceded by an old-timey newsreel and Bugs Bunny cartoon, Rabbit of Seville. And that is a free event, but tickets are, something must have been reserved in those first two rows because yesterday these weren't available, and now most of the first two rows in the theater are available this afternoon. And then other than that, you're in the upper level or the balcony. So it is pretty close to sold out for a free event. No surprise there, but... and then tomorrow night, they wrap up with the concert, Mark Cohn and Sean Colvin together on stage at the Eccles Theater. That is not a free event, and that's the closing night of this 3-day celebration of 100 years of the Eccles Theater. Very cool.
One of the things that was really neat last night is they did a lot of video interludes while people were moving off the stage or moving on the stage. The screen came down and they ran these videos of people with their memories about the Eccles Theater and about the Capitol Theater, which was what it was called.
Yeah,
previously.
That was my two memories. I saw it wasn't the premiere night, and I held that over my mom's head for years. But it was about a week later I saw Return of the Jedi there for the first time. And then when I was younger than that, Pete's Dragon got a theater tour revival, a movie theater tour revival. And so they sent it around to Disney did this like at the 10-year anniversary or something like that. And I remember there was a big papier-mâché Pete's Dragon in front of the Capitol Theater for weeks. And I would beg and throw tantrums to stop and see it. Those were my two Capitol Theater memories. And then just, man, so many. I was thinking about it. I've seen so many. I couldn't list probably the things that I've enjoyed seeing there. At the Eccles Theater, and the theater is kind of part of the experience.
Vanessa Ballam spoke about seeing E.T. the Extraterrestrial there.
Oh, wow.
That would have been the mid-'80s, which was just about when that theater was about to fall down on top of everybody in there.
I know there was actually talk for some time of tearing it down.
Yeah, Gene Needham was planning to put a parking lot there next to his bookstore.
Boy, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, and Michael Ballam kind of reminisced about how he sweet-talked Gene and Mayor George Daines into getting on the bandwagon about saving the theater.
Smart move.
But there was one thing, I've got a cold, and midway through the show, I started coughing. Luckily, I was in the back of the theater. I was able to get out of the
sneak out,
sat down next to the water fountain in the lobby, and the next thing I know, Michael Ballam walks out, and Stefan Espinosa walks out.
Oh, wow.
And they're getting ready to do their thing, to perform, to do The Impossible Dream. Excuse me.
You're sitting there hanging on to the drinking fountain right there.
Yeah. But the funny thing was, Michael comes out and he walks by and he goes over to the other door on the other end of the lobby because they're going to make it their entrance up the aisle.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell he's nervous.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm thinking,
that's interesting.
I'm thinking, my God, the guy's done this part dozens of times. What's he got to be nervous
about? In front
of
huge crowds.
Yeah. He's the consummate professional. But he wanders back over and gets a drink of water out of the fountain and goes back over. And the door opens and they go down and I go back in to see them, and they're walking up the center of the aisle, chattering about being storytellers, and then they get on stage and go into the routine. But I know why he was nervous, because this was a huge, huge, huge night.
Yeah.
For him, for the theater, for everybody, for the entire theater community.
I get that, I guess.
And he wanted it to be perfect, and it was.
I guess I can understand that. It does surprise me because of his experience.
He's human.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is.
Holy cow! Michael
kind of cool
Ballam is human.
Yeah. I get it somewhat. I had someone say to me a little while ago, I'll bet it's just nothing for you to sit down in front of the microphones there in the studio. You kind of even forget how many people might be listening, and yeah, you do. But there are still times when, when we have a guest that's just but when Orrin Hatch was coming, that was just a big get. We'd never had him before, and I'm going to be conducting the interview solo that day. And I did get a little nervous because I'm like,
Orrin Hatch was an old sweetheart.
Oh,
he was.
He was super nice. My nervousness was like, what if I say something stupid in the middle of this on accident, and then we're on CNN the next day? and so it does happen to me occasionally. I'm nowhere near where Michael Ballam is as far as notoriety or local celebrity or whatever you want to call it, and he has been in front of so many huge crowds, and he's performed that so many times. Mm-hmm. I guess I just sort of take for granted and assume he just, rolls up 3 minutes before performance time, hops out of his car, runs inside,
I don't think
sings
so.
a song.
I don't think so.
Runs back out and heads to Maverick. But I guess, he would still, he loves what he does, so I can see.
It's important to him.
Yeah.
You can tell.
And that I think getting nervous is kind of a sign of that. It's important to him that it's done well, which explains a lot of things. So one of my fascinations with Michael Ballam is whether it's a trained, experience-based thing or like just a sense some people have. But I've heard so many stories and seen so many productions his hands have been in that this guy is a master recruiter. He knows how to pick a cast.
Oh, yeah.
And that's always fascinated me about him.
Well, see, the big thing last year was the Tenderland.
Yeah.
The opera that they performed at the Griffin Farm in Millville.
Yeah.
And that whole thing was staged. It was so intimate, and
it's so cool.
They waited for the sun to go down. They delayed the curtain so the sun wouldn't be in the eyes of the audience.
It's amazing.
But it was like Michael and Gary Griffin were inviting 350 close friends to their home to see this show. And that's the way it played out. And it was beautiful. It was just gorgeous.
That's very cool. Honestly, it reminds you that this is. I talked to an artist about this once, and I expressed the same thing. I said, "Is it ever frustrating to think all this work, all this time, all this dedication, all this love of what you do, and people sit down, enjoy it for 2 hours?" Go out and eat dinner and forget about it. Does that bother you? Would you like there to be more to it than that? And he explained to me why it was a stupid question. He said that, and the second thing he said was absolutely not. He said that's what makes this fun is that it isn't every performance can come and go and never be seen again,
and it's always a little different.
Yeah, and even in the day and age of YouTube and Facebook video and all of that, Pickleville, for example, how many shows do they do between June and September? A lot. And every single one's a little different. And for the performers, they notice that.
That because they're going improv half the time.
Yeah, DJ especially. They're good at that, though. Charlie Schill, our guest here in the studio again. It's our theater hour, 753-5868, if you'd like to join us. We'll talk more about what's coming up. Been talking about the 100-year celebration going on this week at the Eccles Theater with last night, their big event, kind of spotlighting some of the history, some of the talent, and people sharing stories from the stage of their experiences on stage or off at the Eccles Theater. Tonight, Back to the Future, the big movie, preceded by an old-timey newsreel and the Bugs Bunny cartoon Rabbit of Seville, as the way it was done way back when the Capitol Theater that became the Eccles Theater first opened and operated as a movie theater. This is kind of how things were done. And so they're going back to that for tonight's feature presentation of Back to the Future. That is free. Tickets are still available, though pretty picked over in that lower level, so grab them fast if you plan to attend tonight. And then things again wrap up tomorrow with the concert, final night of this 100-year anniversary celebration at the Eccles. Wendy Hassan has managed to bring Mark Cohn and Sean Colvin together on stage tomorrow night at the Eccles Theater. Tickets still available for that as well, but again, picked over. These have attracted a lot of attention, so grab them fast if you're going to get them. And we'll be back with more of our theater hour. And Charlie Schill here in the studio right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:34, and the news is brought to you by Logan Extermination. A jury is deliberating in Gwyneth Paltrow's trial over a 2016 ski collision at a Utah resort. The closely watched trial has drawn to a close today, and the 8-member jury is tasked with the decision. Attorneys for Paltrow and the 76-year-old man suing her have framed their clients as aggrieved victims in a years-long legal battle, taking a stand for truth. Terry Sanderson has sued Paltrow, claiming she skied out of control and crashed into him, leaving him with 4 broken ribs and a concussion, with symptoms lasting years since the collision. Paltrow has countersued for a symbolic $1 and attorney fees. Taylor Horton-Tucker scored a career-high 41 points, and the Utah Jazz defeated the Spurs 128-117 in what could be Coach Greg Popovich's final home game in San Antonio. Utah snapped a 4-game skid to keep its fading playoff hopes alive, but San Antonio lost its 5th straight in its worst season since 1997, the year it drafted Tim Duncan with the number 1 overall pick. KVNU News Time is 4:35. Let's get this update from ABC News.
Historic announcement from a New York grand jury. The panel voting to indict former President Trump. He was under investigation for an alleged hush money payment that was allegedly made to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign to cover up an alleged extramarital affair. ABC's Karen Travers with reaction from the former president.
He says that this district attorney was investigating him for something that he says is not a crime, not a misdemeanor, not an affair. You know, Donald Trump, when he was president, when you had the Russia investigation by the special counsel, numerous investigations into him, it has never shied away from doing his own legal work, his own PR work, and that continues now as a former president and once again candidate for the White House.
Mr. Trump telling ABC News the indictment is, quote, an attack on our country. With continuing coverage, the indictment of former President Trump. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
The bugs love the good weather. I'm guessing you have a bunch of those creepy crawlers waiting patiently to come into your cozy home. Let Logan Extermination take care of those unwanted pests with a monthly exterior spray. Now for a limited time, they'll spray your home's exterior monthly from April to October for only $65 per month for a 1,500 square foot home. Call Logan Extermination before your home becomes enemy territory. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
KVNU weather, winter storm warning in effect for the mountains until 9 o'clock Friday night. Also a winter weather advisory in effect for the Cache Valley until 9 o'clock this evening, or starting from 9 o'clock this evening, that is, till noon on Friday. Snow in the forecast tonight, up to 2 inches accumulation. Overnight low around 30. Southwest winds 10 to 20 miles an hour around midnight. Snow showers likely Friday morning, then a chance of snow showers in the afternoon. Another inch possible, high tomorrow in the upper 30s. It's been to 38. It's 38 degrees right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue. Your roof is only as great as its installation. That's why at Roof Rescue they take great pride in carefully and securely, that is, installing and repairing your roof with high-quality materials. Call 435-999-4268, Roof Rescue. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Rochelle Hanks bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report on behalf of financial advisor Tron Arnold and Edward Jones for Thursday, March 30th. Simmering bank fears shift the focus back towards rates and the economy. The most acute fears over a potential growing wave of bank failures have subsided somewhat this week, providing some space for the outlook for interest rates and the economy to move back into the spotlight. Policy responses from the FDIC, Treasury, and Fed have helped restore some confidence, while lawmakers are considering additional proposals to reinforce stability. Reports on Thursday indicate that one such proposal could be new requirements for smaller banks that could include higher capital and cash levels, as well as regular stress tests in an attempt to limit future challenges similar to those experienced in the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank failures. More broadly, we maintain our view that while we probably haven't seen the end of the banking system anxiety, we don't believe the outcome will be similar to the financial crisis experienced in 2008. We suspect the most impactful fallout from this situation will be tighter lending standards and slower loan growth from small and mid-sized banks that will likely add to the economic slowdown that we expect this year. Today's U.S. equities closed higher. The Dow closed up 41 points at 32,859. The Nasdaq closed up 87 points at 12,013, and the S&P closed up 23 points at 4,051. And the bond market 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.56%. In stocks of local interest, Thermo Fisher is up $7.82 to $562.97. Home Depot is up $2 to $285.36. Autoliv is up $1.45 to $92.44. Lowe's is up 71 cents to $192.65. Walmart is up $1.44 to $145.67. Nucor is up $1.95 to $151.36. Coca-Cola is down 1 cent to $61.85. Kroger is up 2 cents to $49.06, and General Electric is up 1 cent to $94.05. In commodity markets, the price of crude oil was up $1.26 at $74.23, and the spot price of gold was up $15.20 to $1,999.70. This has been today's Financial Market Report, brought to you on behalf of Financial Advisor Tron Arnold and Edward Jones, member SIPC, and Financial Advisor Tron Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention. Financial advice at 1202 South Highway 9 in Logan. If you would like additional information, you can contact any of our 7 Edward Jones offices in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield, and our daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Your politics probably indicates your answer. Hear what Democrats and Republicans say. Also, demand is on the rise among wannabe home buyers this spring, but why does it remain hard to find a reasonable number of homes to choose from? And the investing overconfidence that can be costly. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVN News for the people. Hour 1 of today's show, moving right along here with our theater hour. Coming up in hour 2, though, the results of the World Values Survey are out, and it has produced some pretty scary headlines today, showing Americans not as in love with democracy as they were 20 years ago. What it means and what some potential solutions to that are, we'll break it down in hour 2. Deseret News has a big story on this if you want to go read it now. And right now, though, it is our theater hour. Time to step away from all that and talk arts and entertainment with our friend Charlie Schill. We made it through the Eccles 100-year celebration, and my memory is so bad, Charlie. I was aware of another thing that's starting this weekend, but I'm currently not aware of that for some reason. Where did I put my list?
On Saturday night, USU is doing a play reading in the Black Box Theater in the Chase Fine Arts Center on the USU campus.
It is a lengthy location.
Yes, it is.
To read. I've had to do that before.
You try typing it in every other day.
A few breaths in between. Where's it at? Okay, hold on. It is in. That is 7:30.
At the Black Box. It's free. All you have to do is show up early enough to find a seat.
Yeah, which is harder than you'd think sometimes.
Yep.
With this tiny little, and you had some insight into what the readings might be.
Well, one of the things they're doing they're reading a one-act show by Jen Silverman, the same playwright who wrote Love and Information. Love and Information was a little challenging.
Yeah.
So this
it wasn't bad. It was
wildly different.
Yeah. But at the same time, you kind of walked away from that thinking, if someone asked you, does she have talent, you would say, oh, absolutely. But as a writer, but still, yeah.
Challenging.
Interesting to see where her career goes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, she's she has established herself as kind of there used to be something called Theater of the Absurd, the avant-garde theater.
Oh, yeah.
Right after World War II, the Europeans were all into this
Yeah.
Theater of the absurd thing. The Chinese Wall.
Well, didn't it become kind of almost a pretentious thing where...
You betcha it did.
Where it was kind of the bougie thing to go do to see. Yeah.
Yes.
That is...
It died a very, deserved death.
Deserved's a good word. Never a fan. Never a fan.
So, the other big news we've got floating around is Pickleville has taken the wraps off of their Pickleville on Tour season for this year.
Yeah.
They'll be doing the Legend of El Diablo, which is their typical musical melodrama show in the spring. They will be performing that on May 5th and 6th, I think. Let me do. Yeah. Friday, May 5th, Saturday, May 6th.
Okay.
Here in Logan.
All right.
Previous to that, they're performing at the Murray High School. I don't know why they couldn't find a better venue than that in Salt Lake, but maybe Salt Lake's heating up finally.
Yeah, maybe they're finding a little more competition down there. Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be a show about our hero Juanito, formerly known as Juanito Bandito.
Now it's just Juanito, right?
Juandito.
They combined the words.
And he's going to be competing with his brother, also played by T.J. Davis, which is going to be an interesting way of seeing the two of them working together.
Kind of surprised me, too, because they've both been so busy, pointed in opposite directions lately.
And T.J. will also, I betcha, because we've seen him do this in Christmas shows, play his father, El Diablo, in
I didn't
flashbacks.
Think of that. That's right.
So he could be playing 3 roles. This should be interesting.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's he's talented enough to do it.
It looks like he's got a fairly new cast. The other shows that they're going to do is in September. They're going to do another Laugh Fest show, like their comedy show that they did last October for Halloween. And then in December, they'll be doing a show they've called I Believe in Christmas. Now, I Believe in Christmas is going to be a revamped show of North Pole Christmas.
Which was a hit last year.
Well, it was the year before.
Oh, yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was at the Eccles, right? That they did that?
Yes. And they'll be back to perform in the Eccles this year.
Okay. They can fill it.
They certainly can.
It's not been a challenge for them, which is honestly just stands to me as one of the most hilarious contradictions of any theater production crew, because they are able to fill Eccles regularly, and then you go over to Garden City and see something at Pickleville, and it's always full, but I mean it is tiny.
Well, yeah, sure.
Like, what is it, 22 seats? I'm exaggerating.
There's about 360, I think.
Yeah, it is a small theater.
But you're packed in there cheek and jowl.
Yeah. Not a lot of leg room. It's an older theater that,
honestly, and we sit down in that theater, and Debbie says, if there's a fire in this building, we're doomed. All of us are doomed. And I say, Deb, you just follow me, because I'm going right across the stage and out the back of the door.
Yeah. That honestly,
nobody's getting out of that building any other way.
That's a good escape plan theater. I'd never thought of that. I do that. Certain theaters of certain sizes, I do look at exits. Movie theaters too. I used to do it. It's not a movie theater anymore, I don't think, but it was the Redwood. across from. Do you know what that is now, Bill? I don't think it's a movie theater
It's an
anymore.
art gallery.
That's right, art gallery.
It's
Yeah.
G. Needham's art gallery.
That was one. As it aged, they've renovated it since, but as it aged as a movie theater, it got older and older and older, and it got that smell, that old building smell. And I'd go see movies there, and I marked the exits for potential fire escape. They've renovated it since. Don't worry about going there now. But
You know, the thing, though, that was interesting, and talking about old theaters.
Oh.
To go to the Eccles and see all of those,
yeah.
You know, they've got the photographs of the restoration in progress.
Yeah. Which took, wow. It's been years.
Ballam said they took something like 7 or 8 tons of junk off the stage.
Really?
Everything had just been piled back there.
Yeah, over the years. That doesn't surprise me at all.
I mean,
someday we might need it.
It had that. It had a gigantic stage.
Yeah.
And you didn't need it to show movies.
No.
So they just dumped more
Things
and
just
more
started
and
going
more
there.
and more stuff on it.
Yeah. That would be, because the film, I remember the screen was 2-3 feet back from the edge of that stage when it was a movie theater. And, that just, I was sad to see when the Capitol, because the Capitol shut down for a while, and then as we discussed, there was this period of time where there was a big debate over what was going to happen with the building. And I was sad when they announced that nobody was going to fire it back up as a movie theater. But this was all pre, Larry H. Miller megaplex chains and things like that. And in hindsight, I don't even know if they knew it at the time, but in hindsight, they made all the right decisions, I think, with the future of this theater going forward. And to turn it into like a destination venue as opposed to just a place. I think really, really good decision making a long time ago to build that theater back up. It's talked about everywhere, and it's a fun place to see anything, really.
But, think about, it wasn't until the Eccles came back to life, that Michael founded the Festival Opera, because there was no place for them to perform.
Yeah. And there wouldn't be. Nothing big enough.
The lyric,
for where he wanted to
The lyric
grow.
had been around for years.
Yeah.
But no place where you could perform opera.
Yeah.
No place where you could perform really musicals.
Did they talk at all about that? I happen to know from Wendy and some others some of the insider info on things that were done to improve acoustics in the theater, which is all completely invisible to the audience.
The
at
naked
least.
eye, yes.
Did they talk at all about that? Because that was fascinating to me. Some of the things they did.
Well, they built it. They restored it. Let's say. As a way to perform opera.
Yeah.
They had to have fabulous acoustics.
And they did some amazing things on the wings. I remember it was actually, I think it was a school tour, maybe. But I remember they showed us how, if you look closely at the bricks on the wings, the bricks are positioned in a way, and it has an acoustic effect. It stops an echo, but also funnels the sound to the audience. It's amazing.
When I was working for Weber State, we funded a restoration of the Perry's Egyptian Theater.
Oh, another beautiful one.
Down in Ogden. And the people that they brought in from across the country to do that restoration, and the painstaking way they played with sound, so that they would bring midway through the reconstruction project, they would bring in sound, speakers and stuff, and bounce it off the walls and see what they were getting.
That is interesting.
And then come. Oh, let's adjust this. Let's adjust that.
I remember reading that Weber State brought engineering PhD students.
You bet.
In as well to look into that.
Yeah, because we didn't have any engineering students of our own.
That was honestly just fascinating to me, the science behind, designing a theater for good sound, which I'm the one naysayer on this. If you've ever seen a concert at Vivint Arena in Salt Lake, the opposite has happened there. It all sounds like... we're gonna get jazz fans lighting me up now for this. I'm sorry, it's a horrible center.
Think about that Tuacahn Amphitheater down there at Zions National Park.
Yeah,
they've got good acoustics there.
Yeah, despite the no roof.
Yeah, the Shakespeare Festival. They built a replica of years ago. They built an outdoor replica of the Globe Theater.
Oh, really?
And
fun! And
it had dynamite acoustics, but then they moved from there to an indoor theater. Well, it is an indoor. It's open air, but it's roofed, so that you could still perform if it rains.
That's very cool.
And I'm not sure the new theater is quite the same.
I've seen some photos, and it doesn't look like...
Well, they got knocked... The theater got knocked out by that flood.
Yeah.
And they lost all their audio equipment, and they can't perform now. A musical there.
Which makes you think the theater itself depends on an amplification system.
Yeah.
Rather than being able to... Whereas I've seen people... The Eccles, an opera singer, can stand on that stage and not need a mic.
And blast you out the back door. Yeah.
I've experienced it, and the little hairs on the back of my neck stood up with the power of that voice. Charlie Schill, our guest in the studio, having a fun conversation here about the Eccles Theater, celebrating their 100 years this week with Back to the Future movie night tonight, preceded by a newsreel and a Bugs Bunny cartoon, The Rabbit of Seville. Tickets are still available. That starts at 7:30 tonight, and we'll be back right after this.
If your clothes are taking too long to dry, don't run out and buy a new dryer without first checking the vent. Clothes dryer vents can get clogged with lint, and birds can even build a nest in them. If your clothes are taking too long to dry, simply check the outside of your vent, and if you don't feel a swift amount of air, it's probably clogged. Simply clean the vent, and your dryer should work like new. Or, if your vent is too long or too difficult to clean yourself, then give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813.
Thank you for being a part of the Best of Northern Utah competition. The 2023 contest has turned into one of the largest promotions this area has ever seen. As most of you probably noticed, the Best of Northern Utah website experienced technical issues on the last day of voting, and this issue has been resolved, but a portion of the final day for voting was missed. In an effort to make up for a lost voting opportunity, voting will be extended through Thursday, March 30th at 5 p.m. Again, voting for Best of Northern Utah has been extended through Thursday, March 30th at 5. Take advantage and vote today at bestofnorthernutah.com.
Charlie, that is our time for this week. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. What are we talking about next week?
Oh, we'll go back to the list.
Back to the list?
We'll go back to the list.
I don't remember where we left off. It is we left off somewhere around Misalliance, I think.
We won't remember.
Yeah, we'll start over. Somewhere, School of Rock, Thick of Thieves, Wizard of Oz area. We'll get back to Charlie's big list, everything happening from April to the end of the year, theater-wise here in Cache Valley. That'll be next week on the show. So please join us every Thursday at 4 o'clock. You can read Charlie's work in between Thursdays at CacheValleyDaily.com. Coming up on the other side, in hour two, we'll get back to the serious, sometimes unpleasant news, and one of those Well, was one today. Deseret News has a story on this, but it was made public this morning. It happens every year for about the last 60. It's called the World Values Summit, and for the first time ever, a decline in the survey results when it comes to Americans and their favoritism for democracy. First time ever that there was a decline in the popularity of democracy for Americans surveyed by the World Values Summit. We'll talk about what this means and what the survey analysts say some of the possible prescriptions for this before it becomes a full-on trend might be. That's coming up in hour 2 right after this here on KVNU Logan.